Hey everybody, SMC, welcome back to my channel. Today I will show you how to get this makeup look with a snitchery trick for a little bit of overlining the lips to give the appearance of a fuller lip plump or lip injected mouth, as well as my rationale between not doing too much on the eyes when you're gonna rock a lip like this. And I'm going to tell you a story about my first decomp scene and why that was so exciting and meaningful, as well as my appreciation for the awesome power of the shotgun. Again, like I've said before, crime scene stories do tend to have information in them that is sensitive, graphic, or disturbing, and viewer discretion is advised. If you're just here for the makeup and you don't want to hear the story, just kill the audio and watch the video and that's it. If you're having thoughts or feelings of hurting yourself or someone else, please talk to someone about them and actually talk. Don't just send a text, like get somebody to listen to you verbally explain what's going on. That could be a family member, a friend, someone from your church if that's what you're into, someone from your neighborhood. You can call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline at any time. That number is 1-800-273-TALK. Again, that's 1-800-273-8255. Or you can call your non-emergency line of your local law enforcement agency and tell them what's going on. Or you can call 911 and tell them what's going on. It's just imperative that if you are having thoughts or feelings of hurting yourself or others, that you talk to someone before you do something that you cannot take back and that you may end up regretting. In this video, I apologize in advance for the lighting problems I'm having. It's a really overcast, kind of weird day, and so the light kept changing. I'm also using my new Sigma brushes. That was a collaboration between Robert Welsh and Sigma Beauty. I'm not really talking a ton about the brushes, nor about the techniques. I will save that for a later video, but of course that's what I'm using there. And then it's still just another kind of amalgam of all sorts of different products. So if you stuck around this far, stick around a little bit longer and watch me put my face on. Thanks, bye. Hey again everybody, thanks for hanging around. So today I have to get ready quickly yet again because I woke up so tired this morning. I'm not really sure why I was so exhausted, but I've already washed my face and put on moisturizer, but now I'm gonna do some priming and getting ready. I was a little torn between what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. That it was like, oh, should I tell them about why this week was so crazy or a different one? But I think I'm going to tell you a different story, because in thinking about telling the story of why this week was so crazy, it's not really all that interesting without getting into the details. And since it is all so fresh and new, I'm not going to give you guys a bunch of details, sorry. So I will tell you guys about my first decomp scene and why I was so excited to go to one. But so some of you know, because you know who I am and you know a bit about my backstory. I grew up in Alaska, in interior Alaska more specifically, and during the fall time, which is relatively short, but you know, it's there, as the leaves, you know, they're on the birch trees are changing to this light situation is not working. Alright, sorry about that. That light situation was not working, but a quick change of the ISO and now you can see me better. Strangely enough, it's pretty overcast today and looks like it's going to be a rainy one. Anyway, I grew up in interior Alaska, and as the birch trees make their brief change from green to yellow and drop their leaves, that time of year there was always this smell that would just be everywhere. And it was kind of a gross but also sweet smell. And I never knew what it was growing up. And I always just kind of thought that maybe that's what decomposition smells like. Because what else would it be? During undergrad and during my internship, I had mentioned that I really wanted to smell decomp so I would know what it smells like to some of the colleagues that I was interning with. And of course they had all already smelled it before. But then finally a call came in that they said was a decomp scene. And I was like, oh yay, woo! And so I really wanted to test my theory on, was what I was smelling really decomp? This sweet but also gross smell at the same time. And since I was interning in God's waiting room, we figured this one was a natural that had just sat in their apartment for a while. Because that happens kind of frequently. And we get to the apartment complex and we park in the parking lot, and we're probably a good 200 feet from the door to this apartment. Hop out of the van, and the girl I'm riding with says, "Can you smell that?" And I was like, yeah. And it was definitely not what I had smelled growing up in interior Alaska. But it was a smell that if you've ever smelled it, you will never forget it, and you'll always recognize it, you know, which is often the case when it comes to olfactory senses, that they tie very strongly to memory. And like I said, we were 100, 200 feet from the door to this apartment. Get up to the apartment, and the deputies, they say, oh, the gun is still by the body. We didn't touch it. And we're like, gun? We thought this was a natural. And he said, oh no, this guy shot himself with a shotgun. And we're like, oh snap, all right. And they also said, be careful because his ear is on the stairs. And we were like, oh, all right. So the way this apartment was, the entry door was on the ground level, and there was a stairwell that went up to where the apartment was on the second floor. And there was a small, like a half wall kind of divider along the stairs that separated the living area from, and now I'm like a Dayglow ghost. Man, this weather is not cooperating. 1 second. All right, maybe that's gonna work better. Changed the ISO again and changed the way the blinds are. Anyway, there was a little half wall that separated the stairwell from the living room, and this gentleman had a recliner that's the back of it was against that half wall, and it faced into the living room towards the TV. And he was sitting in that recliner when he did what he did, which was the shotgun under the chin, and when he pulled the trigger. So this was actually, so it was my first decomp scene, but it was also the scene that made me just respect and appreciate the raw power of the shotgun, because it was so kind of amazing the way that his skull had distended in the direction of the path of the projectile, and just it really had cleaned out the entire skull cavity. It was totally empty, and what larger pieces remained had fallen down to the floor, but most of it was gone and was just small little fragments that were distributed mostly in the direction of the projectile travel up into the ceiling, but also there was a spatter pattern 360 degrees, because there was even matter that had deposited on the TV screen, 6 or 7 feet away from him in the opposite direction, roughly, of the direction of travel of the projectile. And so I really appreciated the shotgun power after seeing that in person. We know, or we can assume, or make our educated guess, hypothesize that it was under the chin rather than in the mouth, because his teeth were intact, and usually if someone puts it into their mouth, it destroys the teeth because of the power, the blowback, the jaw and the teeth. They're not very strong, and that is an explosion, albeit controlled, when you're talking about firearms, that the teeth can't stand up to that kind of power. I'm going to try a trick and really have this like intense red lip. So I'm going to go real easy on the eyeshadow today. So even though I'm not going to wear the lip out in public, because it's just going to rub off all over the inside of my mask anyway, I want to do it as if I was actually going to wear it all day, which would be, since I'm not wild about lipstick, I don't wear it every day anyway. If I had these bright red lips on and then I do some really intense eye, it would just be way over the top for my taste. So that was my first decomp, and also my first shotgun suicide, both of which were very interesting. And I've gone to other decomp scenes that smell more intense for whatever reason, because they're older, I guess, or maybe because of their diet, or older in time elapsed from death, not age of the decedent. But I've also been to some that didn't smell that bad, but the insect activity was just phenomenal. So when I worked out west, it was a lot drier and there weren't as many bugs. And then you would go to these decomps and yeah, they would smell pretty bad, but there was not many bugs, which was always refreshing because I am not a bug person at all. Then when I got out here down south, it's a lot more humid, and so they really get a good bouquet worked up. But the bug activity, it was like something out of a textbook. It was pretty amazing, actually. That hopefully I can find and share a photo because that was just like nothing I'd ever seen before. I do have this new set of brushes that are amazing, and I will focus more on them in another video. I did have a friend who asked what I'm using, and I'm not focusing so much on the products because I'm really trying to focus on technique. But I did invest in these brushes because they were recommended as a collaboration between Robert Welsh and Sigma Beauty, and I absolutely love Robert Welsh. He is just a wealth of information, and he seems like a genuinely awesome person. Now I need to fix the lighting situation again. This is getting pretty obnoxious. Be right back. Robert Welsh. Wealth of information, and he honestly seems like a genuinely good person. His YouTube channel, he's very informative, and that he just wants people to learn how to do makeup well. He has years of experience as a professional makeup artist, and now he just wants to share his information with the rest of us. So kudos to him. I'll probably talk about him more when I do a video that's really talking about the brushes and I have a little more time and not so much trouble with this window, or actually not with the window but with the sun. I am trying to focus more on techniques and utilizing those, because I feel like where makeup's concerned, we should be able to use any product and get the result as long as it's got the pigment and, you know, is the correct state. Like if you need a cream, it's a cream. If you need a powder, it's a powder, so on and so forth. That you don't have to just spend top dollar to try to get some look, because I mean, come on. In reality, can we all afford that? And so I want to try to do things that are just realistic. And if technique can get you there, then you don't need to spend a ton of money. You can just use your technique. Circling back to our shotgun suicide guy, my first ever decomp. It was kind of funny because the girl, when we pulled up to the scene, she was telling me about her favorite types of suicide scenes, and she said hers were hangings, in that because if you don't cut down someone who is hanging by the neck, over time their necks will start to stretch out, and that was what she thought was cool. And I was like, what? This chick, she's weird. But thankfully I didn't say anything, because I really would have made an ass out of myself, because when I walked in there and I saw, you know, the way the skull was distended back and just the spatter pattern, I was just amazed. And then that became my favorite type of suicide scene. That it was just so powerful and just complete wanton destruction. And that gentleman, we were looking around, you know, for the last proof of life and activity, and we could find some that was 4 days prior. And so the odor and how it had permeated, as well as how much decomposition had happened to his body, was only after 4 days. And he was inside of a sealed, air-conditioned apartment. So that's also environmental. That you know, if you live in drier climates, you may see more mummification rather than actual traditional decomposition, and you might see in a more humid area, you know, a lot more putrefaction along with your traditional decomposition. And that was also impressive, that it only took 4 days to end up with those kind of results. I've done my brows, and of course it's just a hot mess of extra gel everywhere. I'm gonna clean that up. There we go, white ghost again. Glowing angel face. I'm just not winning with the environmental conditions, so that would be one good case for the actual sort of professional lighting setup that I lack and wasn't gonna get, because I want to be able to show you guys, you know, realistically. So I guess this is pretty realistic. I've really been working on my wing liner this week, and I feel like I'm getting pretty good at it. You know, I'm bragging a little bit, but I think that's okay.
Mommy.
Yes, baby?
I'm kind of hungry. My tummy just growled.
Your tummy just growled. What would you like to eat?
I don't know.
Okay. I might have to take a break from you guys so I can make Sweet Pea some food.
And at the end of the video, I'll say, peace out, bloop, 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 bloop. Like FTTV Diddy. Like
Nice.
FTTV Duty.
Now, I'm going to work on these wings, so I'll be right back. I got the wings. Hopefully I can fix a lot of the lighting issues in post. Mascara. Thank you, brother, for the interesting meme of all the fish faces. Literal, like, trouts putting on mascara. That was very funny. I try to not have my mouth too open, but you know, sometimes you have to steady the hand a little. I don't know why opening your mouth steadies it, but it seems to. The lip trick I'm going to use is one that, whoops, that is not the brush I needed, is one that Snitchery did. It was actually, it's kind of a compilation of two. A tutorial about how to fake lip fillers, and then a video that she did of working with your natural lip shape. That when I look at my lips, actually I'm gonna do my face first before my lips. I already did some concealing because I really wanted to get that concealer a good chance to dry down. I have tried to fix it again, so hopefully that'll work. I put the concealer on already because I really wanted to give it a chance to dry down before I go in with my foundation, because as part of the set I got this cool brush and I'm really trying to figure out the nuances of actually using it. I've been spraying it with a little bit of primer water just to try to help, I don't know, make it more like a wet sponge, because that's how I'm using it to apply product to my face. And then I'm just going in and tapping. I mean, I know probably since it's a brush that I should be actually brushing it onto my face, but what I'm running into is that it's really moving that concealer around. I do try to use little brush strokes at the end of the taps, if that makes any sense, where I don't have any concealer, or I will just straight up brush, like here on my forehead where I didn't do any concealing, or on the very extreme edges of the face I didn't have any. I do have that amazing supposed lip plumping balm on my lips, so I'm trying not to get my brush all into that because I don't want to smear that all over my face. I'm also trying to stay where I'm in focus for you guys. And then once I have it evenly distributed on my face, I just try to really go in and make sure if there's any places where there's like globs of it, just sort of buff those in a little. I don't want it to seem too obvious or look like I have a mask of makeup on my face. I don't like that look. There. Good. We'll put a tiny bit more concealer to cover up where these red spots are showing through. Usually I get a lot closer to my mirror to look for the globs. So powder to set it, even though it's probably not going to be too sweaty. I want it to look nice and matte on my face, not shiny. I'm excited to try this lip thing, even if I don't end up wearing it all day. So I just go through with that big kabuki brush all over my face, and then I have one of the brushes from the set that's an actual powder brush that I tap it once into the powder, and just to go up here, that concealer I use under my eyes is a little on the light side. You put a little bit of this powder over it. It helps to darken it some, I think. Then I'm gonna go in with some blush. I really just am lightly twirling this brush around, especially because it's almost all gone. I have another one though. And then just using the same technique that you use in that crease of your eye, since this is just a mega like crease brush, I just lightly am gonna dust it on swirling this brush around. It puts it on very light and very naturally. I've even started doing that with the highlighter. Instead of using the fan brush, I just one quick swipe and then just swirling it in. I keep having to remind myself to hold my brush back here so it's a lot lighter hand than where I'm just going after it up close. So back here, so it's just gently touching. Now for the lip experiment. So when I look at my lips, you can see they're not super full, and they kind of, it's a pretty pointy Cupid's bow, and then it just kind of comes right down to the side. I don't have a super wide mouth. It's actually kind of more compact, like the Bratz mouth is the way Snitchery put it. And I don't mind the size of the bottom lip. I do feel like the top lip is a little diminished sometimes. So what I'm going to try to do is overline the top lip some with this lip liner. And maybe just barely overline the bottom lip. And I'm going to not go way out to the corner, because you can see that even the corners of my mouth are kind of, you don't really see the red. So, let's see if I can. You see how it goes down, that I didn't bring it out to the very corner. You're going to want to actually put this on pretty thick, because the next step you're going to bring the pigment down into the actual lip. You can even color in that for this outer corner area some. So there's the top lip. This mirror will be easier. Again, I'm not taking it all the way to that outside corner. Because it is helping to bring in the corners of the mouth some. And it's going to give the illusion that the lips are taller because you're squeezing them in. This is a lot easier because I had that greasy lip balm on my lips. This is bright red lipstick. It's actually a matte liquid lipstick. I'm not going to use too much of it because I'm going to take it off, but also because I want it to blend in with the lip balm and just kind of give me some pigment all over. My light's all screwed up again. Sorry this one has been so troublesome. And now it looks really good because now I look so pale with a nice bright red lip. That's her trick. I don't know if you can tell, like maybe you think it's just because of the color, but bringing the corners of the mouth in just naturally give the appearance that it's taller, especially for that upper lip. And I did overline it some, that if you could really get in there and look, which you can't with this lens, that it does have a tiny bit of overline to it. And that is the entire face for today. I have some of that primer water, which is also a setting spray that I enjoy. I can blow it, fan it a little bit to give you a better look. Now remember, I kept it really simple on the eyes because if I'm going to have a really bright, big lip, I don't want too much on the eyes because it's just going to look like I have way too much makeup on. And I did put something because I'm planning on taking the lipstick off before I head out for the day. And I don't really have an experiment today because I think it's going to be way too rainy to go swimming. But this, I just wanted to share that snitchery lip technique and the story of my first decomp, as well as my interest or why shotgun suicides are my favorite. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. If you, those can be about makeup or forensics, sorry. And if you like what I'm doing, the stories, the makeup, whatever, give me a like. Feel free to subscribe, and I will get back to you later. Bye.